Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this weekend. On the undercard of Wood versus Warrington, we're going to see the rescheduled matchup between the former champion Cecilia Brækhus and Terry Harper for what is Terry Harper's WBA title at 154 pounds. Terry looks really healthy at that weight. She looks solid.
They added the WBO title to it, too.
It's not just for Terry's WBA title, it's also for the newly vacated WBO version of the title that Natasha Jonas used to hold before she decided to move down to welter. I don't have any illusions about what's going to happen on Saturday. I was a fan of Cecilia Brækhus for a long time. I still am. But she's up there in age. She hasn't fought in a while.
These two were supposed to have fought months ago, but Cecilia Brækhus fell ill, and Terry Harper ended up fighting a late replacement. They've rescheduled the fight.
And I ain't got no illusions.
No.
I ain't got no illusions about what's going to happen on Saturday. I think Cecilia Brækhus will be a step behind. A step behind Terry Harper at every turn. Terry's in her prime. She's young, she's fit, she's strong. This is a healthy weight for her.
Punches hard.
Whereas Cecilia, God bless her, she's not as active as she used to be, not what she used to be, and she's 42 years old, so what am I supposed to say?
You want me to do?
Not going to sugarcoat it. I think she's going to be a step behind Terry. I think she's going to be a step behind Terry every single round, second best.
Terry's going to be too fast, too sharp, too strong.
That's what I think. So my prediction hasn't changed. I only wonder what Terry's going to do after this fight with Cecilia Brækhus. Does she decide to stay at junior middleweight, continue to defend those two alphabet titles?
She pursue a unification match with the winner of Mary Spencer versus Femke Hermans too.
Winner of the fight becomes IBF champion. That's right. That fight is for the newly vacated IBF title that Natasha Jonas used to hold. If Terry Harper takes care of business with Cecilia this weekend, will she target the winner of that fight, or will she target the winner of Hearn versus Emma Kozin?
For what is the newly vacated WBC title. WBC title that Natasha Jonas used to hold.
Terry Harper beat Hearn in September of last year when Hearn stood in for Cecilia Brækhus when Cecilia pulled out ill.
If Hearn becomes WBC champion, would that be enough to entice Terry Harper to run it back with her for what would be 3 of the 4 major alphabet titles at the weight? If Hannah wins, do we see a rematch?
What if Emma wins? If Emma Kozin upsets the apple cart for Hannah Rankin, would Terry Harper be open to fighting her and unifying with her?
You gotta wonder.
See, if Terry Harper stays at 154 pounds and pursues unification matches, you know, the other alphabet titles at the weight, she's got 1 or 2 options, but you will notice that the fights here don't have the same profile as the fights down there at 147. And for what it's worth, because Terry's so young, I think she could make 147. I think she could get down there.
I don't think she'd be depleted making welterweight.
Any lower than that, perhaps, but I think she can make 147 match fit. You will notice the proliferation of high-profile names at 147, like Natasha Jonas, Sandy Ryan, Jessica McCaskill. You have to figure that if Chantel Cameron wins or loses in the Katie Taylor rematch, win or lose, she'll likely move up to 147. Are these fights that Terry Harper wants?
Don't forget, Michaela Mayer's there, too.
It's still a big fight. You have to wonder what Terry Harper's going to do moving forward if she takes care of business this Saturday. Does she stay at 154, pursue the other alphabet titles, or does she move down to 147, where there's a growing number of high-profile fighters?
High-profile fights.
See what she decides. I'm expecting a one-sided contest this Saturday. I am expecting a one-sided fight. I expect Terry Harper to win wide on the cards. Cecilia Brækhus has never been stopped before.
I don't know that she's going to get stopped this weekend. She may have enough left in the tank to survive.
Enough to finish the fight on her feet, but I think she loses a wide points decision. I'm going with Terry Harper, conservatively, Terry Harper on points. Now, as it pertains to this past weekend's action, Eddie Hearn on Canelo Alvarez's unanimous decision win over Charlo. I just don't know what Charlo was doing. It looked like a sparring session. I just don't understand how you considered a press conference my time, legacy, shock the world, show I'm great, and then not even
try?
At least if you're gonna get beat, go out on your shield and get chinned. Before, Charlo versus Terence Crawford was a mega fight. Is it now? Who's rushing to see Charlo back? It was just weird. Very poor.
After the fight, Charlo said that he would be willing to move back down to junior middle to fight Terence Crawford, where Jermell still holds 3 of the 4 major titles.
I don't know how close or how far away we are to a fight like that. Errol Spence Jr. activated his rematch clause, and we've got to see what happens with that. This past weekend, on the undercard of Canelo versus Charlo, you saw Erickson Lubin receive a gift decision in the Jesus Ramos fight for what was a version of the WBC title. Does that set up Jermell for a rematch with him?
I don't know.
Brian Mendoza's interim champion, but Brian Mendoza's about to fight Tszyu. If he gets beat, what happens to that interim title?
Does Tim get to keep it, or does Erickson Lubin get elevated to interim champion?
I don't know. You figure that if Charlo means to return to the junior middleweight division, if he's going to boil all the way back down to 154 several months from now, maybe a Lubin fight, a rematch.
Knock that guy out in, 34 seconds?
That might be an ideal fight for Charlo. A rebound fight, tune-up fight to get him back in the winner's bracket, because I don't actually think Erickson Lubin won this past weekend, but the judges did, so here we are. Maybe he fights that guy en route to a Crawford fight?
I pump the brakes, because Crawford's not receptive.
As it pertains to a potential Charlo versus Crawford fight, Terence Crawford said, "Congratulations, Canelo. You made the so-called lion look like a baby cub. Okay, y'all, I'm over Charlo. He's no longer on my hit list. He went out there and laid down and let Canelo spank him like he was his daddy, with no type of resistance."
Crawford's not gunning for Charlo anymore.
And Crawford's evaluation of the fight is akin to Eddie Hearn's evaluation of the fight, is akin to a lot of people's evaluation of the fight, that this guy just showed up for a check. He didn't even try. And it's almost insulting when you think about how Kell Brook jumped up 2 weight classes for Gennady Golovkin, and he really gave it a try. He really gave it a go. Even Amir Khan, when he jumped up in weight for Canelo Alvarez,
he did his best, and he went out on a shield.
With Charlo, that doesn't seem to be the case. It seemed like all of that talk and a build-up was little more than just talk, and it's insulting. It's insulting because of what it costs to be there, what it costs to be at the fight, what it costs to watch it at home, the sacrifices that other boxers have made in that same situation, and it didn't work out. It's insulting to the customers, it's insulting to the fans and to the fighters.
This guy showed up for a check.
The performance that he put on was no performance at all.
Nope.
Before they all disappear, I saw a good number of fight fans. I saw a good number of fight fans right here in the US of A behind the guys at Tribalism get behind Charlo to upset the apple cart for Canelo. They were backing him.
They were talking about how Jermell's got a power jab,
saying that Charlo is better than most of the guys that Canelo Alvarez has beaten so far. This is what they were saying before they delete their tweets, before they go into hiding.
Accountability is a 4-letter word to these people.
Saying that Canelo Alvarez hasn't been knocking anybody out, so they're not worried about that, and they have confidence in Charlo's ability and all of this hullabaloo.
These guys, most of all, should be furious at Charlo. They should be furious that all this guy did was come to survive. He just showed up for a check.
Made them look clueless in the process. See, this is what happens when you evaluate a fight based on anything other than boxing, anything other than the actual sport and the ability of the fighters. What a lot of these guys like to do is use tribalism to make their evaluations, and that's why they're so often wrong in their predictions, though in any event,
that's the lens they view boxing in.
And I won't even begrudge them viewing boxing through that lens, though oftentimes when you do, when that's the compass for what you think, oftentimes you're gonna get it wrong.
Because who you're loyal to has fuck all to do with boxing and who the better boxer is.
Most people agree after viewing a fight, Charlo, he didn't try. Tszyu says, I felt Charlo just went in there to survive. In all honesty, I thought the fight wasn't as competitive at all. Tszyu said to Fox Sports, I felt Charlo just went in there to survive. He was working a lot of defense. He never made it competitive. Like, he never really went out there and said, you know what?
What?
I'm going to have a go at it. Even when his coach was saying that he was losing a fight, you need to go out there and actually go at it. He never pushed it, never put the press up, just moved around backwards. He had a certain game plan stuck in his head and just tried to move around and not get hit, and that was it. Good on him for surviving the whole 12 rounds. That's an achievement on its own.
A booby prize.
I'll tell you what I think. I think once the punches started to fly, once he got a taste of Canelo Alvarez's power and his speed in tandem with his acumen, he quickly realized that he was out of his depth, and he never fought somebody like this before, so he was rendered a deer in the headlights.
He was out of sorts and could not adjust.
You can watch film on a fighter all fucking day till the cows come home. You can watch the film on Canelo Alvarez till you're blue in the face. The fights that he won, the fights that he lost, the guys that beat him, and everything in between. You can do that, but none of that.
You won't know how strong he is until you're in the ring with him, how fast he is.
How good. There's only one way you find that out, and that's fighting a guy. Very different from watching him on a screen to share in the ring with him.
For years, both the Charlo brothers said they wanted Canelo Alvarez. People didn't forget.
Bob, I tell niggas, I said nigga was gonna fuck Charlo up anyway, but what he didn't do, he ain't even fuck Charlo up because Charlo was running. Y'all niggas been calling this nigga out for like 3-4 years. You and your brother been calling Canelo out. He been telling y'all niggas y'all do not want these problems. Y'all end up getting the ring and you got the problems that he told y'all didn't want. That nigga Charlo feet was off, fumbling. Like he looked like a nigga with no coordination. Like nigga was running. Though I'm looking at his face. And you could see, what we seen on the instant replay, when the punches was coming his way in slow motion, he was scared. That nigga was scared, my nigga. You went in for a check, my nigga, and you were embarrassing. Then you call out Bud after the fight. I don't even want to see Charlo against Bud. Because Bud's a monster. You just looking for fights to make money at this point.
You want to know what the problem is? I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem that some people in boxing don't seem to understand. The casual observer, like a Cameron, like a Mason Betta, that perhaps don't follow the sport as closely as I or you. They ain't got the tolerance, they ain't got the patience, and they don't have to.
You treat the sport like it's a bank heist, like there's no consequence.
There was a certain section of the boxing community that was propping both of these guys up, both the Charlo brothers. Now, Jamal got the taste slapped out of his mouth by Caleb Plant. Jermel Charlo fought to survive this past Saturday.
And people don't forget.
You talk too fucking much. And all that fucking talk, yeah, it might go over well with a small portion of the boxing community. But the rest of the world are looking at this piss poor showing and saying, this is what you wanted. You caught this guy out for all these years, so you can do this?
Treat the sport like it's a bank heist. The PBC and their fighters, their mentality, they treat everything like it's a bank heist, like it ain't got no consequences.
But this ain't a bank heist, and there are consequences, because how the fuck are you supposed to sell this guy now?
How?
The next time he's got a fight coming up and you want to sell some tickets, you want to sell some pay-per-views, how the fuck are you supposed to do that?
How?
The paying public, don't forget, the paying customer. Never mind the bums.
The mooches.
The mooches that support the PBC, the guys that rely on pirate streams to watch boxing and prop up the PBC every chance they get, and all their fighters.
The guys who have got 2 and 3 and 4 hours to argue in broad daylight on social media about how great Al Heyman is because they ain't got day jobs.
It's not their money you're trying to get at because they ain't got no money. It's my money, Cameron's money, Mason Betta's money, you know, the paying public.
Piss poor showing like that comes with consequences.
PBC and their fighters, they seem to think it doesn't because they treat everything like a bank heist until it backfires. How are you supposed to sell Stephen Fulton, Errol Spence, Jermel Charlo after those one-sided beatings?
Compare the numbers to Wilder versus Fury to Wilder versus Hellenius. Those are the consequences.
What people in boxing don't seem to understand is you're not owed understanding, and you're certainly not owed patronage. People are there to see a show, so you better put one on, win or lose.
You don't endear yourself to the paying public doing what Jamel did this past Saturday.
Yeah, you might have lived to fight another day, but do you get to cash another check?
Do you?
Just telling you, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Everything costs. Everything costs something.
So you live to fight another day, but on that other day that you're fighting, is anybody gonna care? Is anybody gonna watch?
Canelo Alvarez's opinion, immediately after the fight, I did my job. I think Charlo never did something to win.
For how long did you hear how many people saying that Canelo Alvarez was scared of the slick American fighter, the slick boxer?
While they trashed European fighters that gave it a more spirited effort against that same Canelo Alvarez, how many times did you hear that Canelo's scared of the slick fighters? The American style.
Style is that?
Style is that? Shooting off at the mouth until you shoot yourself in the foot? I think that happened with a lot of fighters. Alvarez said during a post-fight press conference, "That's not on my mind to survive. It's not that way, but I did my job. I did my job, and I think he never did something to win."
You say that it's prize fighting, and they're all fighting for a check in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, they all are. They are.
Then what's egregious about Jermell Charlo just showing up for a check? Well, you talked yourself into a corner. You said you wanted this. As recent as this year back in May, you called Canelo out.
And this is what you do.
That was my plan, you know. Neutralize everything he's gonna come with, Alvarez said. He's a counterpuncher, he's got a good left hand, and I tried not to get hit, and sometimes fighters can't do anything in the ring, too.
Jermell couldn't.
Ahead of the fight, Jermell Charlo said he was, daring to be great, and he's doing it for the culture. The culture, kind of like how Adrian Broner, ahead of the Pacquiao fight, said that he was doing it for the hood.
Clowns.
The guys are fucking clowns, man. And I think a small section of the boxing community, a small portion of it,
They are enamored with anybody, any guy who can talk a good one.
Boxing Insider Rick Glacier that said, PBC fighters Fulton, Spence, Charlo, all brutally toasted this year. That PBC game plan that features soft opposition and a lot of inactivity will get you destroyed when you finally fight the elites. Inactivity kills any chance at victory a fighter may have had. Yep.
Those PBC guys only look halfway decent when they're fighting each other. When they are fighting each other.
Do you see what happens when they're fighting a non-PBC fighter? Yeah, I understand Canelo's got a 2-3 fight deal with them, whatever it is. But Canelo's not a fighter that they groomed.
No.
Canelo is not a fighter that they built. Neither is Terrence Crawford.
The PBC brand of boxers, the PBC brand of fighters, they're the ones getting their ass kicked.
See what happened when Stephen Fulton fought Naoya Inoue? You see what happened when Deontay Wilder fought Tyson Fury? When Adonis Stevenson fought Alexander Vosdick? When Artur Beterbiev fought Marcus Brown? Do you see? Do you see what I've been telling you?
Do you understand?
Vasyl Lomachenko had a professional record of 1-1. 1 win with 1 loss when he beat then unbeaten Gary Russell, who was something like, 21-0?
Vasyl Lomachenko had a record of 1-1.
So many Haymanites considered Vasyl Lomachenko a manufactured hype job. All I can ask is, if he's a manufactured hype job, what the hell does that make Gary Russell for losing to him?
He had a record of 1-1.
PBC brand boxers, I've been trying to tell you, it's all smoke and mirrors over there. And Jermell Charlo is just the latest example. You can put him in the big fights, allow them to survive long enough to have one.
And when they do, they're gonna get embarrassed.
Embarrass themselves, their supporters, embarrass the brand.
Embarrassed.
Canelo might be doing business with the PBC, but he's not a PBC brand boxer. Neither is Terrence Crawford.
He's not.
Not just because they're doing business, it's just another chapter in the same book and another example of what I've been telling you all along. A lot of these names they pestered Canelo Alvarez with, they're not in his league.